got a good hour or so of chat, and I look forward to getting some comments from folks too. Podaholiks with a K at gmail.com. But before we get to all that, let's get Kev on board here, and let's start. It's Get Fit with Kev time.
It's the music, it gets me going every time.
You need the music,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it sets the tone nicely.
It's like,
I like it.
And I want to get started right away because you were talking about cycling.
Yes.
As we're coming in. So you do, how often do you cycle?
I normally cycle once to twice a week.
Okay.
Depends on my availability through the week.
Yeah.
So I'll normally go morning time or like late afternoon, 4-ish, 5
We're talking
o'clock.
a serious, like how far are you cycling?
50 kilometres.
That's okay. That's
45,
serious.
50 kilometres.
That's serious.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Do around 2 hours.
And at constant pace, or are you doing a little bit of a sprint? Or?
Constant pace.
Okay.
Constant pace. I'll go, there's different routes. I'll go up to, I could just cycle path.
Yeah, so you're off the road, so you're not going to get hit by cars.
Exactly, like uninterrupted.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of routes. There's one towards, as you come out of my community, down towards Jebel Ali towards Global Village.
Yeah.
And it comes under the bypass and takes you down around Global Village, and it goes to Al Barari.
Yeah,
and
sure.
up to the last point is in Al Barari, the farm.
Okay, that's where it ends.
Yeah. So it goes you down to there, and then there's literally a roundabout at the end that you have to restart and restart
you look around and then start again.
It's like when you're on it's like the never-ending path, and then you get to the end point and you're like, oh, what do I do now? Like, so I have to go back on myself. I stopped at a nice little bit of breakfast in the farm.
Okay, yeah.
And then cycled back.
Nice organics there. I mean,
yes, nice.
Those of you who are outside of Dubai and not here, the farm is in the Al Barari community, which is a lush green oasis. It's in Dubai, but it's sort of on the back side of Dubai.
Doesn't feel like you're in Dubai, does it?
It is so green, it is so lush. And within there's this restaurant, and there's a fitness studio and stuff, but giant mansions in this great little restaurant area called The Farm, which is full of organic foods and organic foodstuffs, and it's idyllic setting.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
Nice,
Water running through.
Therapeutic, isn't it?
Yeah. You hear the little waterfalls and birds. And
had a nice omelette in there. It was nice.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got that route, Al Barari, come back through, or the Al Qudra cycle path, which is right and up towards the last exit, which then goes right out into the desert.
Right.
In the
and then once you get to the last exit, you can take a right and keep going, because I see the road keeps going. I don't know.
Correct.
I don't know where it's going.
From there, when I get to Al Qudra, from where I am in Town Square, it goes up. It's about 20 kilometres.
Okay.
And then there's two routes. There's a 50-kilometre route or a 98-kilometre route. Okay. And then obviously you just choose which you go, and then I have to bear in mind that I've got to go back another 20 kilometres. Right. So normally I would just do. The trouble is with cycling, the time that it takes to do it. So like I have to be mindful of that, because I don't want to be really longer than 2 hours 15 or whatever. Yeah. I don't want to spend too much more time than that. So I'll cycle up, get to the last exit, spin back around, and then come down and back. And it normally takes me 2 hours or so. Right. But it's brilliant. So. And then also where I live in the community, there's a nice little route up and down the roads and in and around the back up towards May Dubai water plant. I literally went last Sunday, cycled through, Camels, just heard of them just come out of nowhere, just all around me. And I was like, I had this conversation with someone the other day. It's funny because I'm so amazed as like not being from Dubai as an expat, thinking, wow, camels, I'm fixated. Like I love
21 years here and I'm still fixated by camels. 21 years in.
And then I had this conversation. I was like, I can't believe how cool these camels are. And then, look, there's a camel. When you drive past, whoa, camel. You put it on it. You say that to like a local, and they'll be like, yeah, it's a camel. And then I had this conversation with someone. Said, well, imagine you're in the UK and you drive down the road and you see a cow. Yeah. And I'd just be like, yeah, it's a cow. Yeah. But then someone who's not used that would be like, whoa, look at these cows in the field. Exactly. So it's like, so then when they put it like that, I was like, suppose, yeah. So when if it was all anew, it wouldn't be so, interested. But obviously, cool. But these camels, I love them.
Yeah,
they're cool. Yeah,
they're smelly though.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you don't see them, sometimes you're out there and you're cycling or you're walking and something. And I said, oh, there's camels.
Yes.
And and it's funny because you see pictures of people getting out and feeding. You got to be aware those things bite.
Yeah.
And spit. So you got to be, hopefully it's in a good mood if you get close enough.
I read up and it says they can do that, but they're normally
pretty nice.
Pretty nice, but you never know with it being a wild animal.
Yeah.
With it being a wild animal, you don't know.
You just don't know.
They're unpredictable.
So it's
someone in Jebel Ali. What I remember, there's someone who lives in the gardens in the community around there. Someone had an exotic animal living in the house in a cage. It was a sever cat.
Wow.
Which is like a house domestic cat on steroids. Like, 2-3 sizes bigger. And it was just, it escaped. So it was jumping into the gardens. Oh no. And the guys that I would do some one-to-one stuff in their garden didn't come into their garden, but it was in their community. And someone had sent a picture into the WhatsApp or the community group on Facebook, and they were saying they showed me this picture, and it was like, this cat is North African. It can reach up to 50 miles an hour. It's normally not a threat to humans, but it can be at risk. It's a wild animal, so it's an uncertainty. You never know. So
it's like, be careful.
Yeah. So it just made me think of that. But in terms of like the camels anyway, and on the cycling route, it's a great route through. You're in the desert. You get your wildlife. You're uninterrupted, no cars, and then from time to time you get a little flyover of the fighter planes coming over doing the practice, and so it's good. And in terms of exercise and expenditure of calories,
there we go.
I look at my watch. I'm expending over 1,000 calories.
See, that's what you want to do. And
I treat it more as exercise than training.
Yeah.
I look at them differently. Exercise.
So hold on a second. So you're thinking exercise is one thing, training is another thing. Because I always think exercise is exercise, training is training. Well, tomato, potato, it's the same thing.
Yeah, no.
No.
I'd say, for me personally, I look at training like I'm really like going for it, trying to improve in,
So give me an example of what a training session for you is.
A training session for me is I'm going to go get on the treadmill and do some HIIT session or outdoors. I'm going to do 20.
HIIT is high intensity training, in case anyone.
I'm going
high intensity interval training.
Yes,
double I's.
Dot the I's, cross the T's.
There we go.
So 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. I am going flat out sprinting. 20 seconds, 10 seconds off. I'm doing it for 6 minutes. I'm all out. My intensity's high. If I'm exercising, I'm going for a jog for 30 minutes.
Okay.
At a steady state.
All right. So I do a lot of exercise. I don't do much training.
Yeah. So when I'm doing for me personally, when I'm doing the airy-fairy, fluffy stuff that's just to keep me fit and healthy and day to day, then I'll exercise. But like I'll cycle at a constant pace. But if I want to train when I'm on the bike, then I need to do like intervals of like 45 seconds flat out or 30 seconds, then I'll have 15 seconds off or whatever it may be. So I do look at it like that. And I'll often treat an exercise day as more like a recovery between training type sessions. So.
And I guess it's really important for folks when they're thinking their own exercise regime to keep in mind, okay, what are my goals? So you got to know what your goal is to realize, because maybe you're just someone who wants to do exercise like that. You want to maintain your health level. You want to maintain some stamina. You want to be able to go up and down the stairs with your kids or whatever. Whereas someone might say, well, look, my goal is to do this triathlon, or my goal is to run this half marathon, or my goal is to, and pick the goal. I want to do the CrossFit Games, right? Or, whatever. So, okay, now you got, yes, on your down day, you need to do exercise, but you need to train.
Yes.
You need to be training. Yeah. And that's
correct.
Some of your goals.
So for me as well, like, there's two things. Is one, I play football, so I want to always try and improve my physical capabilities from in football, and then it's just like, secondly, it's in my head is I like to push myself every now and then. All the time I'm trying to plodding along at the same pace, and exercise for me doesn't work. I like to, I have a little thing in my head where I've got to like, you know, every week or so I've got to have a high intensity session where I'm pushing myself. But if you keep doing the high intensity stuff, then you'll break down. So it's all about this balance between
injuries.
Training,
Part of that
recovery.
breakdown is the injury. If you
absolutely.
train, exercise, and then training, exercise, training, and your exercise. I mean, one of the things I always notice when I'm training is my exercise sessions, as much as I say they're just a maintenance and I'm just going to keep moving, I start pushing myself and I start getting faster and faster and faster at what I'm doing, or you know, and I'm really and then inevitably I get an Achilles thing. So I'm talking running. So I might, you know, instead of doing an easy jog, I'm suddenly doing a much faster jog. And if I'm combining that with my training, inevitably I get an injury.
Well, this is it. A lot of people think that you have to train, push every session, every day, train every day and push yourself every day. But that's not the case. When you recover, that's when the adaptations occur and that's when you're getting better. So I had the conversation with someone yesterday about it, and they saying, do I need to go to the gym 7 times a week? No, you don't. No, you don't. How many times do you think? Well, you know, it depends how much time you have, what's your availability,
what's your appetite for it? Like
everything. There's a number of factors that come into play.
And
so
it's funny because it's different for everyone. Everyone.
There's no one size fits all.
Yeah,
simple as
we
that.
spend a lot of time, especially with the Instagram. So, you know, I might be looking at Instagram and then I see, you know, one guy I follow, because I did the Men's Health Challenge years ago.
Okay.
Where you that transformation challenge.
Yeah.
And I kind of cheated a little bit. So we went and did the workouts with the trainer. So I'm always watching Jay Christie.
Okay.
Cool guy. And so what would happen when we were doing the Men's Health Challenge is we met 3 times a week and we did workouts. On the other days, I was doing workouts, CrossFit workouts with my son, just to keep up.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, there was a transformation. Not as much as the young guys, but it was work. It was like that month and a bit. We went over a month, and it was work.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work.
The thing. Well, that's good. The thing with training, it's about getting the balance between training and recovery.
Right.
And that's exactly what a strength and conditioning coach's role is trying to get the balance between being able to push for adaptations to make them better and constantly raise the ceiling.
Okay.
But at the same time is giving them enough recovery for the adaptations to occur.
Right.
So if you keep pushing, the fatigue levels rise and there's a risk of injury. There's
and injuries happen so quick, don't they? It's a little thing, and then by the time I always find, because this is my own personal thing, I'm always struggling with calf and Achilles stuff, and you know, my own fault, because I'll feel the start of something, I can run through it.
Yeah, but this is
and then but I know in my head is no, you can't run through it. Don't run through it. But I will run through it, and then I'll spend a month recovering from something that if I just stopped, because as soon as you stop, it feels perfect. But no.
This is it. And you keep trying to push through it, and then before you know it, it leads into a strain, and then it gets worse, and then you're out for 6 weeks, and then you actually end up back, but worse off than where you started. And then it's a rebuilding process then. So it's a fine balance between getting the pushing for adaptations and getting the recovery time. And the recovery time is more important, because that's that's where the adaptations occur. That's where you get better. That's where you're recovering, ready, so that you're ready to perform for your next session.
Right.
So it's easier probably to get someone to train than it is to recover in some ways. In terms of athletes and at that level, but when you go into a higher level and so on, and you know, it's just trying to get the balance, getting them to place a big emphasis on recovery, because a lot of guys will try and push,
thinking that, hey, if I keep pushing, I'm going to get better.
I'm going to
Not necessarily
But then it's a
true.
balancing act, because then the recovery is just as important, if not more important. You get better in that time, you recover in that time. So the guy trains smarter, not harder.
Right.
Very way to look. The best
that's
way
why.
to.
There we go. Train smart, not
smart, not hard. So I might train 1 day, The next day maybe I have a rest day or an active recovery day. The next day I train, I have an active recovery day. I train, recover. That's a nice way of doing it. Or you go lower day intensity, moderate day intensity, high intensity, rest day. Low, high, mod, low, mod, high, and you sort of periodize it so that you get a progressive overload from day to day.
Okay.
And you get a recovery in between. What do I mean by low, moderate, high? Good question. Okay, low might be a aerobic type session.
All right.
30 minutes running.
Nice.
Moderate, okay, what am I talking about moderate? Is it volume I'm increasing? Is it intensity? Okay, you could maybe look at it, okay, instead of doing a low intensity steady state run, I might do a high intensity, but I'm gonna go 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Then the next day, okay, I wanna do it one more time into a high intensity, and then it's gonna be 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off. So you sort of get that low, moderate, high across the days, and then depending on what you add to that could be, all right, well, the high intensity day is I have a weight session in as well. I have, you know, a HIIT session, I have a weight session, and you know in your own body what's going to be low, what's going to be moderate, and what's going to be high, you know, and it's just adding on volume, reps, less recovery time, and you can progressively over it.
I find for me, if I put it on the calendar and sort of chart it out, saying, okay, this is where I'm going, mentally I start preparing for it, and I realize, okay, this is what you're going to be doing. So I get there, whereas if I just kind of play it, you know, loosey-goosey and just say, okay, well, what are we going to do today? I'm always set for doom because I'm going to go for the least amount of effort at any given time, and I'll convince myself, I need to take another day.
It's good. People write it down, and they're more inclined to follow it. It's been shown. The studies have shown that you write it down. This is what we're doing for the week. This is what we're doing for the month.
Especially if other people can see it. You post it up somewhere. This is my calendar.
Yeah, you're accountable then, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're accountable. But big emphasis on recovery. Don't go just think I need to work 7 days a week and push. Recover hard, or should I say train hard, recover harder. And then in that recovery time, that's when the adaptations occur. You will get better. You'll be ready for your next session, and that would be more sustainable than it would be to just keep pushing, where you're going to put yourself at risk of an injury and not getting the adaptations to occur. That's what I would say.
There we go. It's interesting because we're in Ramadan right now, so I'm date stamping this conversation, which is something we don't usually do. I mean, things are usually pretty, because we record, and you know, behind the scenes of our podcasting, we record, it could be weeks before they finally hit the cycle.
Yes.
Which is always nice from my side with the production of it. But one of the things in the holy month of Ramadan that happens is we get folks fasting. I mean, that's part of it. It's for a month. And that is, you know, a very interesting time. It's one of the things that I find interesting about it is, indeed, that means there's no food, there's no water from sun up to sundown, which in the peak of Ramadan, in the cycle that we're in right now, that's going to be about 14 plus hours at one point, just over 14 hours. That fasting is different than intermittent fasting that we talk about when we're talking about health and fitness. I mean, it's the same in that there's no food and no water coming in, but intermittent fasting as a lifestyle and exercise choice is a little bit different, and I find it very interesting from an exercise perspective and a fitness and lifestyle perspective, that there are folks that I've spoken to who are so pro intermittent fasting, and they say, look, you know, this really works for my fitness regime. And I've talked to a lot of fitness professionals who say, you know, I'm not so sure. And then there's somewhere in between where sometimes I fall in is, look, you know, I'll go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, and you know, wake up at 6 in the morning, then jump out and do some exercise, you know, go for a run, go for a cycle, go for a swim, not having had any food, not really having had any liquids. So I'm really training in that moment or doing exercise in a fasting state. And then when I'm done, I'll have my breakfast, I'll have my oats and my yogurt and my water and my juice. And, for me, I tend to get good results. Although I probably punctuate that style of whatever you want to call it. Before I go out for the run or before I go out for the swim, I'll take a shot of espresso. I'm not going to drink a bottle of water, but I'll have a shot of espresso, go do my thing, and then come back and dive in. And for me, it really works. But I've never engaged in fitness intermittent fasting. And I don't know. I'm not, I don't know.
You're unsure on the topic?
Well, I just don't know if, I kind of look at it and go, my gut and my sensibility says, I don't think this is 100% working for me.
Yeah. No, for me, it's very, very simple. The more you expend, the more you consume, the more you expend, you will lose weight.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Less you expend, and the more you consume, you'll gain weight.
Right.
Okay. So in terms of intermittent fasting, eating high carb, low fat, eating in the morning, eating in the evening, it's all got it's completely pointless in doing that, because if you're looking to lose weight, because it's all about how much you expend versus how much you consume. So that could be, if you're going to intermittent fast, of course you're going to lose weight probably you're going to probably lose weight if you don't consume as much as you're burning off. Simple as that, really. So that could be spread across 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, you know. But if you intermittent fast and still eat 3,000, 4,000 calories, you're not going to lose weight. You know, so there's no secret magic formula to this. It's as simple as, from whatever you burn off and expend in versus consumption, if you outweigh the balance between the two, if you consume more and move less, you'll gain weight. If you expend more and consume less, you'll gain weight. So there's no magic series, like magic formula to this. And people say, oh yeah, I'm eating this high carb, low fat diet. I'm intermittent fasting. Well, okay. But what are you still consuming, ultimately? And second of all, why are you doing that? You're going to have less energy for yourself through the day. Why not eat in more frequent periods, 3-4 hours time?
That's the key thing right there, is keeping a balance of our sugar and our insulin levels. And as soon as you go eat, and then, okay, I eat my breakfast at 7:30, and too many people eat way too much sugar at breakfast. And then I have like 4 coffees, not me, but I'm talking about some folks who are, and then I don't eat anything until noon. So you go all the way down. Then at noon, I have my McDonald's big
peaks and troughs, isn't it?
So then I get this big spike, and then I get this other big one because I don't eat now until 9 at night. Then I go to bed on a full stomach. Oh, and then you wake up and you wonder, why have I got 3 more belt, notches? Why am I expanding my belt? And it's, well, there you go, because but if you were to eat smaller meals, and I do this, and it's funny because I'll have my lunchbox, right? And I'm even at home. And when I get off it, my wife will say, what's going on? Why aren't you eating lunch? It's like, I don't know. And then I'll be sitting on the sofa going, I'm so tired. Well, of course you're tired, because you haven't been eating, B, you haven't been hydrating, and your body is now craving, and it's shutting down for some rest because it's not nourished.
Yes, exactly. So, and if you're not having protein, some source of protein every 3 to 4 hours, that's where atrophy occurs. So the muscle actually starts to break down. So in terms of aesthetics and how you want to look, and just in general being stronger, and that's going to take a hit as well. So mostly you find all these the people doing this. They're trying to, look better.
Right.
Well,
that's a big motivator.
Counteracting what you're doing by not taking. You're having a big period. If you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and then you don't have nothing till, I don't know. So you go to bed at, let's say, 10. You wake up at 7. 9 hours sleep. You then don't have nothing till lunchtime.
That's fast, right
what's
there.
that?
It's
3, 4, 5, another 5 hours, 12 hours without food, without protein. There's going to be, there's a massive period there where you're not getting any protein into the muscle. The more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism is, the more calories you expend from day to day. So you're actually counteracting what you're trying to achieve. But I see it more as like a fad rather than a sustainable way of losing weight. Everything you can lose weight depending on how much you consume and how much you expend. But to do it in a sustainable and in a way that you're gonna have more energy, have more, to train, to go day to day, I would say have something every 3 to 4 hours, some smaller meals, something with protein based in there, and definitely having breakfast. Now, a good thing, you talk about when you wake up in the morning, you go out for a run. You can do that fasted, which is fine in terms of calorie loss and expenditure and fat burning. But you said then about taking the espresso in the morning. So believe it or not, if you have an espresso, you're still fasted in the fasted state. It doesn't affect the pathways. The same as if you consume egg whites in the morning. They're actually shown to
cooked or raw?
Cooked.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not talking Rocky. No. Definitely not Rocky style.
They're just putting the egg whites in there, slurping up. Oh yeah, I feel good.
Get the cat. No, not Rocky-esque. Not Rocky-esque. So cooked egg whites.
I ran up those steps, by the way, in Philly. You know what? We went. We were.
Did you do it at the top?
I did.
Yes.
We were in Pennsylvania. And we were in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and it was like a 2-hour drive. And I said, "Boy, we gotta go. And we found it. There's a statue there, and we went and did it. It was like everyone was doing it. Everyone's doing it, running up the steps. You get to the top.
Yeah.
Anyway.
100%. If you go and you're doing it, definitely. We've got a town hall steps by where I live, and he's still up there.
Everyone does it.
Not quite the same,
Yeah. But so take the egg whites.
Take the egg whites.
Still fasting.
Cook them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're still fasted. Yeah. It's to do with like pathways of which the food will go, and it still keeps your body in a steady, steady fasted, and the fasted.
But stuff's going in.
Yeah, but stuff's going in, so you're still getting the calories, so you're getting the protein in, but it's not affecting the pathways in terms.
That's good to know.
So that's one way of doing it, and then you're getting your another one is. Lucozades and Gatorades and these type of things. Yeah. People will orally put it in.
Sweat.
Yeah. Put them into the mouth. Put them into the mouth. Yeah. Swill around the mouth, and then
spit it out.
And then that is like an athlete's thing. Is they take that,
Get
but
out
they're
of
still
here.
Honestly, it's
footballers do that.
Not footballers, but like you talk marathon runners and stuff like this. And
that's the one. You ever do a marathon?
Yes.
When you're at about 30 or so kilometers in, you're getting to that last 10K,
yes.
And you got people out there with cups of Coke and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you want some Coke?
I'll pass.
Yeah, literally, that's what I did. I said, I'll pass. But you know what? I get it when you say they spit out, because and those are people who have never done a marathon. It's an interesting thing. There's a danger point in marathons around all of these liquid stations, especially if they're giving you soda and people are spitting it out, because I found it got so slippery. And I'm running, and there's this wet area, which is water and Coke and whatever. Yeah. It was so slippery. Yeah. Anyway.
The interesting thing when you're running as well is you need to replace the sodium and the salts.
Yeah, I didn't
That's
do
why
that.
People pass out and collapse, because they're replacing the water, but they need to replace the sodium and the cell in the cell.
Yeah.
And that's where people collapse. So that's why people have like...
That was the last 2 kilometers.
They'll have like rehydrate tablets or Gatorades, Powerades. These are going to help you.
The last 2 kilometers was the saddest point of the marathon. And not for me. I mean, I finished, but that was the point where suddenly physiologically I'm going, holy mackerel, like this is, I've never felt this before. And the way muscles were tightening. But there were also people who at the last 2 kilometers were sitting on the curb. They could not move anymore because the minerals and salts were depleted. Their muscles had just said, can't do it. And you just see people and they're just in tears because they've made it all that way and they physically they're broken. They can't do it. And it's just like sad.
It takes you to a tough place.
Yeah.
Marathons.
Yeah. I did one. Then I
Which
thought
one did you do?
I did here, Dubai.
Did you?
I did Dubai Marathon.
Nice.
And I said, after I did the first one, I said, never again. Then I said, yeah, I'm going to do it again after a year. And I started training and serious training. And then I stopped because I just started to experience things that I went, okay, you know what? You know, I mean, I was running 20 kilometers a day at one point with training, and that's when I started to feel some potential injury things happening. Like it was the first sign. I just went, you know what? And I still had maybe 2 months of training to go, and I just went, or a month of training to go, and I just went, you know what? It's not worth it. No, I'm not doing it. So I was happy with what I did. And it was one of those things. I always wanted to do it.
Yeah, you've done it.
I did it, and I just said, you know what? I'm not doing it again.
Yeah. You've ticked the list now. Ticked off the list, haven't you?
And it's funny because folks said,
good achievements.
Yeah, folks said, are you going to do a half marathon? I said, no. And said, you know, are you going to do, what about 10Ks? No.
No.
You know what I didn't like about the marathon?
Go on.
Is I always train alone. So I'm always running alone. Like it's just me. Mm-hmm. When you go to a marathon, there's a lot of people.
It was me versus.
I found it very distracting, hearing all of the running shoes, because it's pretty quiet, but it's all that plop, 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 plop. And I kind of went,
like it?
No, I didn't like it at all. I just kind of went, you know, that's when you get, again, what are your goals and what do you train like? And you get folks who are competing with each other. I'm not competing with anyone, although there's always that competition. Hey, that guy's ahead of me and I'm going to catch him. And then, 10 kilometers later, you're past him going, dude, I showed you, you're going way too fast. But I found it really distracting, all the running shoes, clippity-cloppeting, and I just didn't enjoy being around all the people. Weird.
That's interesting,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's weird.
Maybe train in a group next time.
Yeah, maybe, exactly.
That might help the situation.
So we'll see. Maybe when I hit 60, I'll do another marathon.
That's the one. I did a marathon in, have you heard of the Eden Project?
Yes.
Yes, I did the Eden Project marathon in Cornwall.
Wow.
And that was literally, it was
nice hills there though. I mean, here it was flat.
It was a fell run marathon.
Wow.
Well, I didn't know that, did I?
Oh.
I signed up to it. Oh. I was scrambling up hills.
Yeah.
Running through forests, jumping through puddles, jumping over trees, tree stumps, and all sorts of things. It was good. It was really good. But it was up country lanes, down, up and down. It rained, it thundered and lightning. It had everything. Yeah. Everything happened. But that had like about 150 people do the marathon. Yeah. And about 1,000 people do the half marathon.
Right.
So there was one point where you went left for half, right for the full, and literally 150 people went right, and the rest went left. But what you found
to realize that marathon. There's really not that many people run a marathon.
No.
Because when you're there, you're around people who are all doing it. But really,
I didn't realize until I seen the results afterwards. But it was that was a tough one because you would be running for like, you may enjoy it, but I was running for like about 20 kilometers of it without seeing a single person. Yeah. Like no one at the side of the road.
I would have no issues with that.
Yeah. No one at the side of the road. No one, no water station, nothing for a long period. And then I got to this family home and then they had a table with like jelly babies and drinks and stuff. I was like, yes, people, I've gone the right way. So that was an interesting one, but great experience. And then at the end, you got yourself Cornish pasty.
Oh, there
for free.
We go. Wow.
Cornish pasty. A Cornish ale can.
Okay, I can get that.
T-shirt and a medal, and you had it all in the Eden Project. And then my friend who we were with, he had access to the Eden Project for free, which is quite expensive to access. Yeah. But what an environment to run in, and the Eden Project itself is brilliant. It was brilliant. I stayed in a tent overnight, stayed in Cornwall.
Nice.
We had like a storm overnight, so it was like, really cool. Like hardcore, but it was a great experience, and as I said, it's ticking it off the accomplishment list, isn't it?
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. So we're talking intermittent fasting, we're talking training, we're talking is I often read and see contradictory information about drinking water before you eat meals. So I'm looking at Noom, the weight loss app, and I'm watching stuff, and they're always talking, drink some water, keep well hydrated. I mean, you should be drinking 3 liters of water a day anyway. Most people don't. And they're saying, look, before you're going to have your dinner, have some water. Have a couple glasses of water. And that's going to not only, fills up your stomach, but it also, it's okay. And I'm thinking that works well. Then I'm watching this other celebrity trainer, Autumn Calabrese. Really cool. Like she's a really cool woman who does food and fitness and runs programs and really helps people with those transformations. And she was doing one thing the other day, and she's going, hold on a second. You probably don't, honestly, don't fall into the trap of drinking water to lose weight before you eat, because the downside of doing that, and she says, think about this, people, is you down, half a liter of water right before you eat, and then you put food on top of it. What's the water doing? Diluting the stomach acids that are actually helping to break down and digest the food. So now you're having an impact on the way your cells are metabolizing the contents because of the way it breaks down. Are you really doing yourself any favors? And I'm going, well, now who do I believe?
That's an interesting.
I know.
That's an interesting line of thinking, but from a real, is it going to have a massive influence if you're still doing all the right things in terms of like what you're consuming and what you're eating, and is that a little bit too specific that needs to be like considered? I don't think so. For me personally, I would say as long as you're going back to, you're burning off more than you're consuming, and you're eating the right stuff in that meal, and you're having water, whether you have it pre, post, during, I wouldn't say it'd be a massive thing to consider.
And I think that's always the issue, is balancing out what you're eating. People sit down to a meal and they just have way too much. You see it all the time. You're going to have a 300-gram piece of meat, and then you're going to have 2 baked potatoes, and you're going to have a basket full of bread, and you're going to skip on the veggies because I don't really want to have my broccoli. And then you kind of look at, well, what did you eat? And it's not that the protein of the meat, 300 grams, is a bad thing. What'd you have for breakfast? What'd you have for lunch? What'd you have for snacks? Do you really need 300 grams? It's like, probably you will. And you'll see it people eating, right? And you walk around the restaurants and you watch it, and you got 2 groups of people. One group of people who say, yeah, I really want that piece of meat, and I'm going to eat that. And about 3/4 of the way through it, they've had enough, and they've got, they're either going to take it with them or it gets scrapped. And you get the other group of people whose parents always said, make sure you finish everything on your plate. There's starving kids in Ethiopia. And you're getting so full that you see people leaving, and they kind of go, oh, I can't move. It was such a good meal. And it's like, well, yeah, you know what? You're not doing yourself any favor.
Overindulging.
Yeah, and the problem is the overindulging doesn't just happen once a week. It happens every single meal. Yeah. And I always find it interesting because, you put the food out and you think, oh man, I gotta have more food, whereas we got a lot of people. Everyone eats proportionally to what is available.
Correct.
And what they really need, if you're sitting there and you're having some liquids and you've got your food and you've had a couple little appetizers of things, just little things, and as it all starts to sink in, by the time you get to dinner, you only need 150, 100 grams of meat, because you're already full.
I think there was, who was it? I read something a while back about people consuming food and who were looking for weight loss, and they would buy smaller plates.
Right, yeah.
And then you eat in relation to what's on the plate, sort of thing. So you cook what fits to the plate, sort of thing, And
you see that some of the buffets, buffets right now are kind of, they're not existent anywhere in the world. Yeah. But think back a little bit, and I'd seen that. Although, well, here in the Emirates,
you always overeat when you go to a buffet.
Yeah, but I've noticed at some of the places where you go, even now, it's not a self-serve buffet, but there might be someone serving you, but you can go up and the chafing dishes are there. The places that are very mindful of this have smaller plates. And I've seen this at more.
I've
you'll
never
see
noticed actually when I think about
some
it.
places have big plates, but a lot of places they've decreased the size of the plates.
That's a good way
and they're
of
just a
doing it,
little
isn't it?
smaller, and you just.
I
eat
wonder
less.
if that's to look after the consumer, or is that to look after the stock in there? Yeah.
Hey, you know
it's
what?
definitely the stock, isn't it?
It's absolutely. They're saying, hey, we're going to have less waste. We're going to have to make less food. And oh yeah, by the way, the consumer's going to eat less anyway. And because you can still go up. So yeah, you got a smaller plate, it's 3/4 the size. You can still go up 3-4 times, but you don't. You know, you go up once.
So true, isn't it? Because you start thinking then psychologically, oh, well, I've had 3 plates.
Yeah. And every time you get up, you move around, everything settles a bit, then you get some stuff. So I've more than once, I've put a little bit on my plate, eaten it, I'm going to go get a little bit more. By the time I stand up and get back to where I want to go, it's like, I'm not going to get that all now. I'm just going to get a piece of fruit, and I'm going to get this, and I get 2 little things, and I walk back, and I'm full. And but that's all. The other problem with a buffet or those things where you can go and eat all you want is you spend whatever it is and you feel I got to get my money's worth. Yes. And it's like I'll get my money's worth on the oysters. I'll get my money's worth on the oysters. It's like I didn't spend that. I said, no, I ate my weight in oysters. I'm good.
It is. You're trying, but then it's then just about being sensible with stuff. It's like, okay, well, all right, I'm gonna have. There's more available to me during breakfast.
Yeah.
So I'll eat more, but then come lunchtime, I'll just eat less. I'll just have less. I'll have a small snack, a protein-based snack.
Like what would your lunchtime protein-based snack be?
Maybe just a protein shake itself.
Okay.
Powder with water, 200 milliliter water, 1 scoop of protein, mix it up, drink, done.
This is a good protein snack right there.
Something like that, yeah.
It's got there's a bit of cauliflower in there. Oh, and the sweetness is passion fruit.
Yeah, I've seen
There's
the
little black
pips at the bottom.
There's a little bit of passion fruit.
See,
but I put that through my Ninja, and that's pretty good. But look at that, isn't that just
perfect? Something like that.
Yeah, you can see them on the bottom. It's nice they settle out, which is great. But
so that's good. But going back to fasting, don't intermittent fast. Just
not your advice.
No, my advice. My advice is don't intermittent fast. Eat every 3-4 hours. Try and move a bit more. Try and get some exercise in. Consume less, and that's where the weight loss will happen in a more sustainable way. You'll have more energy to train, and also psychologically, you're not draining yourself and putting yourself through quite a difficult time, having such a long period where you're not having something. It is easier done where you go to bed and then wake up the next day and you don't have something till lunch.
Yeah.
But you could have more energy and be more motivated than if you have something in the morning and still get the same results, but doing it in a more sustainable way. That's my advice.
What are the big things when we start talking about training? And we kind of clicked on this right at the very beginning. We were talking about some of these interesting athletes, and the F1 drivers. And golfers are another one. A lot of golfers are pretty darn seriously in shape. And I mean, you see some as well that you kind of go, whoa, dude. But there's you look at what golfers are doing, and those folks who are in really good shape golf better and have less injuries.
Correct.
And stuff. Which kind of leads me to that whole idea when we're talking about training and things, and we were talking about this, is the need to think long game in whatever you're training. And not be thinking, okay, well, I'm a footballer, so I've just got to do quick foot action exercises. Correct. And I'm a footballer, so I just got to do, sprints because I'm going to be, if I'm the striker or, if I'm defense, I've got to make sure that I can run quick. And so I'm just going to do, quick things. It's like, no, you still got upper body. Yeah, but I don't touch the ball with my upper body. Why would I need to do it? And it's really thinking about the complete package and mixing things up so that your body doesn't get used to, well, I'm only doing running and I'm not going to do any weights, and I'm not going to do any body weight exercises, and why do I need to do push-ups or sit-ups or mountain climbers or burpees? It's like, no. You need to think variety. And I think sometimes we forget about this.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of running faster, it's all about developing force. Yeah. The stronger you are, the more force you've got to produce to be able to run faster. Right. So the quicker you are, the obviously the advantage you're going to get from it. The stronger you are, the easier the golf shot is, the harder you can hit the ball. Right. It's as simple as that. It is variety, and and changing things and not becoming set in your training.
And our bodies remember everything too.
Yes.
It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yes.
Like they just get used to it, and you'll see it if you only do spinning classes, let's say, and which is fine. Spinning's got some variety in it, but if you're just your body knows when you're hitting. If you're doing a full class, when you're hitting the 38-minute mark, and you've gone through so many speed cycles and this and that, and you're doing up and you're doing a sprint and you're standing up and sprinting. Your body knows, okay, we've only got about 6 minutes left because you've done the same workout or the same timing over and over again in the same formula, different song, maybe different activities, but it's
same volume of time, same cadence in a minute, and
your body knows, and it's
it starts to get to the end, and then when correct, and then I had the conversation with someone the other day, and it was talking about she says to me, like, I'm doing the same thing day in, day out, and it's become easy.
Is this
now
Dr.
for
Jenny
me.
you were talking?
No, it was not Dr. Jenny.
Because I was going to say, she outed you on Insta saying, I go to Kev just to get a little bit of training in, and he hurts me.
Yeah, she called me out on there. So it was another lady, and she just spoke about, like, she does the same thing day in, day out. And I said, okay. She said, is that bad for me? I said, no, it's not bad for you. You're still, she goes 6 times a week. She goes 40 minutes or 30 minutes, 40 minutes in there. She does 15 minutes on the treadmill. She does the rest of it doing weights. Okay. I said, no.
On the machines?
On the machines. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I said, it's not going to be hard. It's not bad for you. But what you've got to remember is that your body adapts to every stimulus placed on it.
Right.
So, as you said then, at 38 minutes, it knows in the spinning class that I'm coming to the end of my muscles that are unconditioned to work 45 minutes. Yeah. And then it's then, okay, well, I have to change. I just said to her, variety is what you need in your workout. So if you're doing, she says, I'll do 15 reps, 20 reps or whatever it may be on an exercise. So it's quite high reps, quite low load in the load that she's lifting. Yeah. So she's doing the same thing. She says, and I just feel the same every day in, day out. I said, you need progressive overload. You need to be like, you either need to change. After, I would say, keep it the same program for 6 weeks. Then you may want to change, and week to week you're increasing the weight, or you're increasing the sets, or you're reducing the recovery time. And then after 6 weeks, your body then needs new exercises placed on it. Yeah. So in terms of, so she was on 20 reps. I said, well, why don't you go heavier? Because you're in the muscular endurance area there. So why don't you go heavier and just increase the load? But then that counteracts with, you need to increase the recovery time in between, so you're ready to lift the weight. Then it becomes, so then it's more hypertrophy, which is more like a muscle development, like lean muscle. But she said, I'm not going to get too big, am I? I said,
everyone's scared of that, right?
I said, if it was that easy, then I'd be henches anything sat to you, wouldn't I? Sat to you. If it was that easy. I said, don't worry about, you'll develop lean muscle, but it won't be that you'll look big for it. It'll just more densify the muscle in around the area, and it'll battle against, it'll change, it'll reduce the fat and build the muscle, but in a denser way, so you look better. But I said, in order to grow, and you need to be consuming a lot of protein per day, and it's all nutrition which grows the body, coinciding with lifting heavy weights. So I said, don't worry about that. So go heavier, hypertrophy range 10 to 12, but then the recovery time is increased 60 seconds, 90 seconds, anywhere in between that. And the hypertrophy, what I mean is 10 to 12 reps around that range. And a good way of looking at it in a layman's terms is like, just think, I'm getting to 10, 11 reps on a scale of 1 to 10. 8, 9, 10. You're exerting at them levels, not at 3 and 4, because then you're not really going to get the results of in that desired rep range and the outcomes that you're looking for. Then you may stay in that zone, you may stay in that rep range for 6 weeks. So you've gone from 15 plus, then you go into a phase of hypertrophy, 10 to 12 reps. Then the next phase in 6 weeks might become a general strength, 6 to 8 reps. And then it becomes recovery time needs to be longer. The load needs to go up. So over 75% of your 1 rep max, which is, in the basic terms, just keep going heavier, heavier, and 8, 9, 10 is your exertion levels in there. You do another 6 weeks block, then it becomes into max strength, and then you go 4 to 6 reps. You're having 3, 4, 5 minute recoveries in between your heavy lifts, which could be a squat, a lunge. And then you still have your assistance exercises where you're doing 10, 12 reps, which are going to help with their main exercises. But you've got then a phase of max strength where the focus is on max strength. And then the next phase goes into power, where it's like 1 to 3 reps, 3 to 5, and then you convert the strength into power. Developing the force to be produced as quick as possible. And then that's a nice systematic way of going through the phases.
So you need a trainer though. You need, I mean, you could do this yourself.
At K-Fit's training, that's a big deal.
At K-Fit's training, at FITZ training, K-Fit's training. But seriously, you want, I mean, look, you can do this yourself. Anyone can do this. You can do it on a piece of paper. But it makes a lot of sense to have that trainer who's working with you in those blocks and tweaking it. I mean, it's the tweak that you're going to help me with or help your clients with to say, okay, we're ready now.
And what you're seeing is you've got that overall program, but then it's broken down into like micro cycles. So it's like, okay, week 1, we're at 3 sets, week 2, 4 sets, week 5, we keep at 4 sets, but we increase the load. Week 6, unload, deload. You've had a big, stressful, heavy, free loading weeks. We're going to unload you. Your fatigue levels drop. You're ready for your next block program at a higher level of performance, and also ready because it's going to be the intensity will go up again, and maybe the volume as well. So that's where the trainer comes in and helps him. But you could always stay in a hypertrophy range, which is 10 to 12 reps. But again, it becomes the variety and changing and overloading it and adapting the workouts day to day, week to week, and constantly changing things. I wouldn't say change the exercises, because if you keep changing the exercises, you won't get the outcomes that you're trying to achieve. So I would say maybe
keep the group.
Keep the group, manipulate the reps, manipulate the volume, manipulate the sets.
So there's a lot of things you can change up so you don't get bored while doing the same things.
The lady I spoke to, when I told her, why didn't you do this and this? And she was like, she was like, oh, I can't wait to go tomorrow now. You know, because she'd got into a rut of doing the same thing day out. And
you walk into that gym, you walk into there and say, okay, I'm just going to do the same thing.
And it's boredom then, isn't it? So, number 1, it's not going to affect the doing the same thing day in, day out. It will keep it healthy, will keep it active, which is great. But in terms of progression, this is what I said to her, you need to change things. You need to make it progressively a little bit harder, a little bit more difficult in how you do it. Could be do this, as we just mentioned. And she was like, whoa, a new lease of life, sort of, like you could see it in it, like, you know, okay, I can't wait to go tomorrow. so just little tweaks is definitely, don't just stagnate your training, don't do the same thing week in, week out. If you want to progress, you need to change your training.
There we go.
After a set period, a block of training, and try and keep the same exercises day to day. Or week to week, try and progressively overload, whether that's the weight, the sets, or the recovery time could be reduced. All that.
There we go. And that's it. That's success according to Kev Fitzsimmons.
Yes.
At K-Fits with a Z training. It's that simple.
It's that simple.
You know, we still got more stuff on the list. We're going to roll it over to next time.
Definitely.
And of course, you've been listening to Kev. You got some questions, you got some comments, you got something you want to fire at him. Podaholiks with a K at gmail.com. Send us your questions and we'll bring them onto the show. It's that simple. And always learn something. It's always fun. Thank you very much, Kev.
No, my pleasure. Always a pleasure to be here. Good fun. At K-Fits Training. At K-Fits Training with a Z.
Find him on Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. And any advice, any questions you may have, I can help you, give you a bit of advice and recommendations going forward. Yeah.
Have a good one. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Find us here, however you're listening to us. You obviously know where to get us. We're coming to you from the Rove Hotel downtown Dubai's epic podcast studio. We're going to do it all again real soon. Thanks for listening. Share the link. So long for now.
Boom.
Boom.